Today's bonus story, The Emperor's New Clothes. There once was an emperor who loved new clothes. He spent all of his money on clothes, and he spent all of his time trying on new suits and showing them off. One day, two men came to the town where the emperor lived. They said they were weavers. They said they could weave the most beautiful cloth in the world. The men were not really weavers, though. They were liars. The two men went straight to the emperor's palace. "Your Majesty," said one of them, "everyone knows about the beautiful cloth we weave. But have you ever heard the amazing thing about it?" The other man said. "Some people cannot see our cloth. They cannot see it, even when they're looking right at it." "Cannot see it," said the emperor. "What kind of people cannot see your beautiful cloth?" "Stupid people," said one man. "And people who are not good at their jobs," said the other. "This is truly amazing," the emperor said. "I must have a suit made out of that cloth." The emperor told the two men to begin weaving the cloth at once. The men said they would need a lot of money, and they said they would need the best gold thread and the best silk thread to weave with. The emperor gave them the money and the thread, and he gave them a room in his palace to work in. The men put up two big looms to weave on, but they did not put the thread on the looms. They put the thread away in a bag. Day after day, the two men sat at their empty looms and pretended to weave. Everyone was waiting for the cloth to be finished. Everyone was waiting to find out if their friends would be able to see it. The emperor wanted to go look at the cloth. He was sure he'd be able to see it. "I know I'm not stupid," he said to himself, "and I know I'm good at being an emperor. But still, just this once, I think I'll send somebody else." So the emperor sent his chief minister down to the workroom. "How do you like our beautiful cloth?" one of the men said. The chief minister looked at one loom and then at the other. He couldn't see any cloth, because there wasn't any cloth to see. "Dear me," he said to himself, "I can't see the cloth. Am I stupid? I never thought I was. Am I bad at my job? If I am, I must keep it a secret. I must not say that I cannot see the cloth." So the chief minister said to the men, "The cloth is beautiful." "Be sure to tell that to the emperor," said one of the men. "Tell him about the beautiful colors and tell him how the gold thread shines." The chief minister went back to the emperor. "The colors are beautiful," he said, "the reds, the purples, and how the gold thread shines." The next day, the two men asked the emperor for more money and more gold thread and some more silk thread. The emperor gave them the money and the thread. The men put the money in their pockets, they put the thread away in their bag, and they kept pretending to weave. Soon the emperor wanted to know when his cloth would be finished. This time he sent a second chief minister down to the workroom. The second chief minister looked at one loom, then at the other. He couldn't see a thing on the looms because there wasn't a thing to see. "Oh dear," he thought, "I can't see the cloth, but I'd better pretend that I can." So he said to the men, "The cloth is beautiful." And he went back to the emperor and said, "The cloth is really beautiful." The emperor couldn't wait a minute longer. He had to see the beautiful cloth for himself. The emperor went down to the workroom. He took his chief minister and his second chief minister with him. The first chief minister looked at the empty looms. "How the gold thread shines," he said. The second chief minister said, "The cloth is really beautiful." The emperor looked at one loom and then at the other. He could not see a thing on the looms. "What is this?" he said to himself. "Am I stupid? No, that's not possible. Is it possible that I'm not good at being an emperor? Oh no, that would be terrible. Well, I will have to pretend that I see the beautiful cloth." So the emperor said to the two men, "Excellent, beautiful, wonderful," and he gave each of them a medal to show how pleased he was. "And now, your majesty," said one of the men, "we are ready to cut the cloth and make a suit for you." "Splendid," the emperor said. "We are having a big parade next week, and I will wear my new suit then." Before the day of the parade, the two men stayed up all night. They used more than 20 candles to light the room so everyone could see how hard they were working. They pretended to take the cloth off the looms. They moved their hands around in the air, and they snapped their scissors together. They used big needles and pretended to sew with them. But the needles had no thread. At last, it was morning, the day of the big parade. "And now," said one of the men, "the emperor's new clothes are ready." The emperor went to the workroom at once. One of the men pretended to hold out a coat. "Here is your new coat, your majesty," he said. "It is light as a feather." "Here are your new trousers," said the other man. "And here is your long royal cape. Your new clothes are so light you will hardly feel you have them on." The emperor took off the clothes he was wearing, and the two men pretended to help him put the new ones on. The emperor turned round and round in front of the mirror. "My new clothes feel light as a feather," he said. Two noblemen were supposed to hold up the ends of the new royal cape. They couldn't see the cape. They couldn't see the trousers or the coat either, but they weren't going to say so. They felt around on the floor and pretended to pick up the ends of the cape. Then the emperor and the noblemen marched out of the palace. In the street, the people were waiting to see the big parade. "Look at the emperor," the people cried. "What a beautiful new suit he has." Nobody could see the emperor's new clothes, but nobody was going to say so. "Look at the emperor," everyone said. "What a beautiful new suit he's wearing." "He hasn't got anything on," a little child said. "Did you hear what the child said?" somebody whispered. "A little child said the emperor hasn't got anything on." "Hasn't got anything on," one person said, and then another, and then another. "Hasn't got anything on," everybody shouted at last. "The emperor hasn't got anything on." The emperor knew now that the people were right, but he had to stay in the parade until it was over. The parade must go on, the emperor thought, and I must keep going too. So the emperor walked proudly the rest of the way. And the two noblemen walked behind him, holding up the ends of the new royal cape, the cape that wasn't there.